Oh my god, don't forget to turn your mic on.
I did. I did it stealthy while I was doing
Still
my
need
chair
to turn
dancing.
your mic on, love.
What? Ah! I was saying I did it all stealthy while I was dancing, and I still missed it in one place. I literally have 3 places I have to turn my mic on or off.
I love being on my side of things.
Well, on a lighter note, I figured out why my hair looks so dark. And that is because I have beauty face turned on Zoom.
But wait, haven't you been using that this whole time?
On Zoom, yeah.
But your hair didn't look dark before.
Maybe it's the camera, but I'm pretty sure it's beauty face.
I don't know. You literally just showed up one day. I think you'd just do better if you were like, yeah, I dyed my hair.
I think it's the camera. It really is. If you watch me on my stream, which doesn't use this particular camera, just saying.
It's a wig.
It's a wig. It is a wig.
It's a wig.
I bought a wig for my cat, and he refuses to wear it, so here you go.
Hey, I mean, that being said, if you ever did decide to dye your hair like a really deep chestnut, almost black, like it fits you.
Okay. And you know, the funny
Yeah.
thing is, I was a blonde.
I'm a natural blonde too. I mean, I'm a dark blonde. You can see my
Yeah.
blonde coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
winter. I'm lighter in the summer, but
Yeah. I'm much like
Isn't it
much
funny?
much like a bird. I just sort of.
well, I was gonna say when you're like, I found out why my hair's so dark. I was gonna say because of the quilt behind you.
That too.
Because
Yeah,
you are
you know,
like totally blending into that. Is that a blue or a black?
It's actually green.
Oh, it's
I
not like
chose
green at
I
all.
chose this quilt to put up because I had the red and white, and then this one's green, and I thought, oh, but you cannot tell this quilt is green.
Do you like my quilt?
I do. I love that. I haven't seen that before.
So, lots of people might notice that Jill has a different background. You're only used to ever seeing 2 different backgrounds. Either it's this disgusting wood paneled wall thing that is in this house, or it's from my dealer studio where you're seeing a bunch of folded quilts behind. The room we are currently in now is it's mine now, but it was my mother's sewing room.
Oh, okay.
It's a disaster because I won't be staying forever in this room. I have been slowly moving it to a new sewing room, so I didn't put any effort into like cleaning anything up in here. Do you want to see how bad it is?
If you're showing, I'm looking.
Hey, I'm not like tons of stuff has been moved out of this room. Things have been moved around. Like I should show you before pictures. But you know, there's a lot going on in this room.
Oh, it's a nice big room.
It is a very big room and has a fireplace in it. Not that it's used, but it is a very big room.
Yeah, it looks like there's lots of potential there.
So yes, back when she used it, it looked much different until it looked like a bomb went off. But yeah, where we are right now is at my like sewing desk and my sewing machine with my phone. Everything's right here.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, this is where I've been doing. Anybody else that's doing Bonnie Hunter's mystery quilt? Like I've been working on that and stuff. So yeah, it's a new place. That's a little one of those that's one of those stained glass things. She's got one up here in the window.
I like it. They're cute.
Yeah. So yeah. That's what's going on. And I'm here with some munchkins from this morning from Dunkin' Donuts that I was munching on. And it feels weird to be in here, but I kind of like it. That wood panel, man.
Yeah, well, you know, it's surrounded by fabrics and whatnot. So it's always fun. So
yeah, pretty stuff. So anywho, I mean, like people must be wondering, like, hey, what are we doing here tonight? There's interesting things to talk about, but
it's a bit of a potpourri show. Yes.
Yeah. You were telling me that there's a little something bleeding over from your stream.
Yeah.
To here.
So I know you were on the stream on Monday, yesterday. You stopped by and we're reading this book, which is called The Heritage of Cotton by M.D.C. Crawford. His name is Morris DeCamp Crawford. We just call him Morris. It's a pretty good book. It was written in 1924. It's been interesting so far. There's only been one like marginally racist thing, like, please, so far. But what you missed was on last Thursday, the chapter called Primitive Culture. And I'm glad to see that our friend LJ, or she's DeMarie over on Twitch, glad she's here, because I promised her I would read you 2 passages that you missed, because we're kind of interested to get your thoughts on how Morris phrased some things. So if I may, I'm just going to read like 2 paragraphs. So this first one, he's talking about cordage, so making cord, spinning. And he says that, primitive man really discovered, the bendiness of saplings and these twisted cords of sinew, and he put it together and he made a bow. So we're talking about like bow and arrow technology. So this is what he says. Like a child, he touches the straining cord, and it answers with a deep, rich note of music. It is the spirit of the wood making protest at being bound. Nonetheless, he touches it again with the same result. And yet that note, deep as it was, strong as it was not the tone of anger. It was like the call of his mate, like the song that springs to his own hairy lips when the long days come again with the flowers, and the fish leap in the shallows. He strikes it tentatively with his flint hammer, and the cord almost snatches it from his hand. He pushes against the cord with the blunt end of his spear. The spear springs away like a living thing, and the cord hums with satisfaction. Here's the second passage. Now this more? Yes, now this one's talking about basketry and weaving, and he's like, comes from the standpoint that the first baskets were these things called fish weirs, and it was like kind of a woven structure that you'd put down in the water to catch the fish, and women were responsible for tending these fish weirs. So woman's life was changed by the weapon ingenuity of man, from one of nervous dread to comparative security and comfort. No longer does she clutch her latest born, and so perilously and preciously handicapped flee when the tiger slips like a gray flame into the clearing. Now he may roar his loudest, tantalized by the delicious scents wafted across the water to his quivering nose. If he shows his evil, wrinkled face at the bridge tree, the men will fill him full of arrows, and there will be a great feast that evening, and the chief will have a fine new tiger skin to sit upon before the council fire. No longer does she huddle in mute agony in the corner of the cave with her little whimpering bundle of tenderness, while the gaunt, silent men return day by day, fishless from the pitiless river. Now plenty warms her life, and there is still to eat and eat again. Her man, lean-hipped, burly-shouldered, with corded, hairy arms and soft, anxious eyes, a bow of seasoned wood, a flint-tipped spear, an edged stone cunningly hafted in a stout sapling, the keen delight of the hunt, and the riotous joy of the evening feast, and the satisfactions of talk with his peers around the council fire. For him these suffice. So what do you think about, and you did hear some, I'm assuming that you had the stream going, and maybe you heard some of what I read yesterday.
DeMarie says, thank you, Jill. This was better than I imagined, Stephanie. And now I know it wasn't just us. Well, for one, I have some issues with his idea of like history, because like it's more than proven that like women were doing a lot of hunter-gatherer stuff and weren't just cowering in the corner of their baby. And it's also funny, like when like historic men would say things like, "Oh, now he's her protector." Women's like most basic natural predator are men. So like, anyhow,
yeah, I'll take the tiger in the clearing over the men.
Yeah,
yes.
Like the other one too, like the first one, I half of me wants to be like, was your stream flagged for like smut?
Is it not smutty sounding? I mean, seriously, wow. Like Morris. Now this man, and I mentioned it again yesterday, but he is a fellow at the American Museum of Natural History. So he was a research fellow. So we're talking about.
Well, I think that research might have like You
So
know.
DeMarie says the stream should be flagged.
Yeah, like I think that research might have excited him a little bit.
Well, he also dedicated. I noticed he dedicated the book to, what is this person's name? E.W. Fairchild. The constant encouragement of E.W. Fairchild. So I'm wondering, could this have been a friend? I don't know. But so very funny. I was like, he's not a bad writer, but my God, the woman is cowering in the corner with her whimpering child and these burly, hairy-armed men.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking like just like how hairy are we talking? Like are we talking like Neanderthal DNA or you know?
We think Morris had a type. And
Yeah, I'm kind of like, wow, was his favorite book like the Iliad, and like he like really felt some type of way over the death of Patroclus, like,
yeah, I mean, he very well could have been like the first, like Harlequin romance writer.
well, I will say if he did kind of like do a little of the tantalizing writing, he would have been very good at it.
Mm-hmm.
His way of describing inanimate objects
Yeah.
was interesting. I mean, if nothing else, this was all worth it just to make LJ's night. I'm glad that you enjoyed my facial expressions. At least somebody did.
Yeah, and I mean, really, it is kind of a bald-faced plug for my own stream where, yeah, we read old books about, quilts and quilt-adjacent topics like cotton. Cotton equals batting equals fabric. But yeah, we can throw a little bit of nonsense in there.
Well, and she says it actually got worse. Like, I guess I'm gonna have to hear about this later. Oh, and Janet just tuned in time for that reading.
Well, Janet, be sure to catch up on the Cake TV stream because you can hear that chapter in its entirety from last Thursday.
Yeah, I was kind of anticipating for you to like start like sweating and
I have to admit, when I was reading it for the first time, I was like, you guys, So, anyway. Maybe it was just those two passages that slipped past the editor, but I'm hoping, we're talking about the burly primitive men more, so Morris might have more to say.
I will say we do potentially have some new viewers tonight, and if you are new viewing this, we're not usually talking about smut, except when, a historic writer about cotton makes it that.
So, yeah, I mean, it's not our fault. We just want to bring you the unvarnished reality of the books.
Oh, yes, especially, and your, like, intonation and finesse of that paragraph certainly didn't make it sound less enticing.
Yeah, I really think I'm going to have to do a dramatic reading of The Heritage of Cotton minus my commentary and just do the dramatic reading that Morris so deserves.
Well, I don't really know how we recover from this.
Yeah, I don't know how you were going to follow that, but I do know that you have some interesting things to share about your weekend.
I do. My weekend was very busy, but it was very fun. Because on what day is it? It's Tuesday? Okay. I'm I'm a disaster this time of year with what day it is. But on Sunday the 8th, the New England Quilt Study Group had a holiday gathering at the New England Quilt Museum. And you're probably sitting there going, what is that? I've never heard of that. You have not heard of that because the group has been pretty dormant for a couple of years. I had been to one meeting before, about two-ish around there years ago. That was a study day. You hear Stephanie talk about these all the time because she has a bunch of really active groups in her area. We hate her for that she gets like 4 different groups. But anywho, I had gone to a study day, and it just, because of people, getting busy, the people that were planning and things like that happen and whatnot. Another one just hadn't happened, and I had bugged people for a bit, and finally, Vanessa from the museum and I got together one day, and we were just like, I said to her, I'm like, I think I think what I might do is I just might email the group, the crowd, and tell them I'm gonna be at this location on this day, and I'm gonna have quilts, and you show up and look at them or not.
And that's kind of how
Because
you have
I
to
was
do
like,
it. I think that's how these
yeah,
things get started, right?
yep, yep. So I originally I was prepared that it might be like a location like not at all linked to the museum. But when I was talking with Vanessa, she's like, I'm so down for that, like let's do it. And then I was just like, well, if you want to do it, then maybe we can host it here because she's got keys.
Mm-hmm.
So we messaged um Pam Weeks and Laura Lane and Nora, who's the director of the museum, and just kind of said, hey, we want to do this thing. Can we have your blessing? Whether you can be involved or not, because it was one of those like if you can't be there, it's not a big deal. Luckily Laura was like, oh my god, I'm totally available that day and I'll pull quilts from the collection. And
Yay.
off we went. Pam wasn't there. She was in New York City with if you've seen the photos already floating around social media, she was in
I
New York City with
haven't yet. I
Marianne Fawn.
forgot. Yeah, yeah.
Of course you forgot.
No,
She
I
was with
really did
Marianne
forget.
Fawn. She was with Paula Nadelstern, and she was with Meg Cox. And they were in New York City seeing a play called The Blood Quilt,
Yep.
which I hadn't heard of. But so far, all four of them say it was amazing and totally worth
That's very cool.
um, going to see. So if you're in New York City, you should go see The Blood Quilt.
Is that Broadway, off Broadway?
I have no idea. I didn't look that deep into it.
Yeah, I don't know
Um,
necessarily how those things work, but New York City. I mean,
yep. So we our event was advertised very short, last minute notice. I think there was 10 days notice to come, and we knew that that would hurt a lot of things, but it was also a scenario where we can't hold it later in December because then things just get busier. And
yeah.
my big argument was I want to just do it right now because I want people to know that things are starting back up again and we're going to do
Mm-hmm.
things whether they can make it through it or not. We ended up having a turnout of 12, which for last minute I think is a good turnout. I think the
Yeah.
last time we had one where I went, I feel like we had 10, I'm sorry, 15 to 20 people.
Mm-hmm.
So and this call for this event went out pretty far. We Vanessa gathered all of the AQSG members in New England, um, and grabbed their emails to send out to them. That turned out to be about 65 people. I messaged all of the people from my Young and Millennial Quilters group that had attended the private event we held for them because some of them showed interest in
Mm-hmm.
going to something like that because Pam did a turning for them and they had no idea what that was and they were like, wow, this is really fun. So I
They
messaged that
discovered
group.
they
That was
liked those
about,
kind of quilts.
yeah.
That was so awesome.
That group was about 30, and then we found out that other people were sharing it with like their area guild members and things like that. So the invite went out easily to probably almost 200 people. So we got lots of emails with like regrets. I'm sorry, I can't be there that day, but I want to come again. I put it on the AQSG members only group, which if you are a member of AQSG, there is a Facebook group just for members to talk
Yep.
about things and whatnot. I put it in there. A number of people were like, oh my God, I hope this is going to be like a thing. And we're like, yes, it's going to be a thing. So I think, officially, unofficially, myself and Vanessa and Laura have officially kind of taken over
Revamped.
the, yep, I agreed to be the official cat herder. Um, and I guess Laura would be like, I guess you'd call her like the treasurer. She's gonna like handle the funds because one of the things that the group does is raise money for
Mm-hmm.
AQSG things like seminar in Portland
Yeah.
in 2025.
Yep.
I worked with Pam the other day about reaching out to some other museums for some excursion trips. This group does visit
Fun.
other things. She emailed, I think, 2 or 3 organizations. I've also since then received a bunch of suggestions. So if any of you people are watching and you have suggestions, don't hold them to yourself. And I'm hoping that by the end of January we can have a whole 2025 calendar.
Awesome.
And I'm
So
like, yeah,
is that when you're gonna like set dates and all that kind of stuff? Have you already set like a next?
we haven't set a next date just because at this moment it's some of that is beholden to the places we want to go and what works for them.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling we will end up scheduling another just low key study day in like January or February because it was Laura had mentioned it's easier to cancel those if you have bad weather than it
Yeah.
is to cancel an excursion event.
Mm-hmm.
So we might do that, but not necessarily at the museum. You know, there's other venues to move around. Just as an example, like the Natick Massachusetts Library, like you can, like other libraries, you can rent community rooms
Mm-hmm.
for either low fee or no fee.
Mm-hmm.
All we need is space and tables, you know. So there could be things like that. So if you guys are listening and there's one you want to like host in your town at like your
Yeah.
library, if there's the space,
Yeah. Libraries,
please
churches.
reach out.
Yeah. Yeah. There's lots of cool
So
places
yeah,
to do those things.
and it's we had at least four first time attendees.
Yay, that's awesome.
So some people were making some connections. One of those people, I won't call their name out, just in case they don't want their name called out. But one of them was the director of the Block Island Historical Society, which is an
Oh,
island off of Rhode Island, and they got a lot of quilts. Never even knew. She just brand new joined AQSG, and she was really excited. And we might plan a trip to go out
that's really neat.
to her venue. So, and she was like, I was so excited to meet so many enthusiastic people. And I was like, if you think this was enthusiastic, just you wait until you get to AQSG seminar. She's
Yeah,
gonna be
for
like,
sure.
okay, I've had enough of enthusiastic people. So
Well,
yeah, that's
that's
what we're doing.
awesome. Yeah, I was very
But
excited about that for you, and I'm really excited that you kind of got the group up and running again, and yeah, that's just. I mean, I have so much fun at the ones I go to.
well, and I plan to hopefully do a little more digital sharing of things to make this a little more um I'll say global, but you know,
Yeah.
accessible. But
Hmm.
speaking of, let me share my screen here. Okay. So one thing that I have done is I have made a Facebook group for this group. Similar to if people are members of like Arizona Regional Quilt Study Group, they just had their virtual event on the 7th. One of the reasons we had our event on the 8th was so we didn't compete with them because I wanted to attend that. um, so I'm just showing you guys this here just so you can see obviously what it looks like if you go to search it. But this is open to anybody, anywhere. You don't have to live in New England. We don't only look at New England quilts. It's just that this is where the group is based. And I Pam had discussed having a place where we could maybe post some things that are characteristic of New England quilts. And the reason that we have made this is because there did used to be a page for the group. The only problem with that is only the administrator can post on the page,
Hmm.
not the members. So we made this so
Gotcha.
that
Yeah.
people can post all kinds of stuff. And there's not, because there's only a bunch of members that just recently come in because I sent out a notice about this. But there's like I had posted pictures of the recent events. We will look at those in more detail. But like Pam here posted uh a quilt. There's one further down that I was commenting had some really gorgeous mitered corners. And she's like, well, I've got one here from New England. Look at these mitered corners. And I was like, oh. I mean, she kind of dropped the ball like a little bit, like right here, but like to get these so
Hmm.
perfectly, like, oh my.
Oh, and that Prussian blue. Oh,
Yeah, be still, my little
yeah. I know.
heart.
I can forgive a lot of crazy stuff in mitered corners when it's beautiful fabric.
Yeah. And then we got some things back here that like a Mary Kay Walvogel might find interesting. And um so yeah, there's just a few posts. So like come on over. See, here's the one Amy posted. Come on over, post your stuff in there, interact in there. It's basically like another, six know-it-all type group. It'll be all the same people, I'm sure. Um, but
We all
yes,
belong to
there's
all of these groups.
yeah. Well, and you know what? We should because it's the way that we see all kinds of things. Now, while we're here, Steph, can you just post the link to this group in the chat for me for
I
anyone that
sure
is
can. Pull that
wanting
up.
to click that link? Of course, it'll end up in the description later and stuff, but I want y'all to have stuff. And then while we're here, I will just remind people that there is a Facebook group for quilt nerding as well. A lot of people like our Instagram account for our notices and things that we put out. But if you want to actually be able to post things yourself, you've got to be in this group because like you can't post stuff to the Instagram for our Instagram account. So stick this one in the chat too there, please. And yeah, come on in here. This is we post all kinds of updates, just like the social media account, but you guys can Stephanie had posted a couple things, but you guys can also post stuff. Like here, Jennifer had posted when this lecture was going to happen, so it's great for you being able to let us know about things. And speaking of letting people know about things, I just wanted to remind people here.
I think I have these links backwards, guys. I think I posted our link under New England Quilt Study and vice versa, but both of those links are in there, so click on both.
You're
welcome.
Take you anywhere.
I know, I'm the worst.
So just want to remind, because again, we might have some new people watching either live or our replay right after. But we do put up a calendar every month. It's color coded with what's going on up here, and then also in the color code up here is where the times are. If we stuck the times down in here, it would look really cluttered and busy and yucky, and we don't want to do that. So we're currently in kind of our off season for reading books. We have decided on our first book that is going to be in January, which we did mention in our holiday gift guide that has some affiliate links in there. Steph, can you read the title there?
Yes, the title is The Dress Diary of Mrs. Anne Sykes, and it's by Kate Strasden. It's a she's a British writer, but it is available in the U.S. in softcover.
Yeah, it just has a different cover. So
yeah, it has a different cover.
Don't fret about that. And then on Christmas Eve here, we're going to post a recorded video because we're going to be probably doing things, eating food for one.
Yeah. Christmas
no
Eve,
matter how that works
whatever it is we do on Christmas Eve.
But then this Saturday, because people really like it, we've got one of our just like hanging out kind of video days. We had been previously calling it a stitching bitch. Someone else mentioned maybe a stitching glitch.
Yeah.
Which I mean, that one's a little more PG, so I guess.
It's also a little more indicative of how things go technologically with me.
So we scheduled those for this Saturday and then the 28th, and that's just low key handwork. If you're doing stuff in your room, we chat about whatever. Stephanie showed us. She demoed kind of some vintage contraptions she had. But they're just hanging out and they're fun. So if you just need some people to keep you company while you're doing some stuff, come do that. And then so one of the things we're looking at today, which we'll do first here. So I was poking around on Instagram, and one of the reasons to follow our Instagram is Instagram's constantly feeding us content that's related to what we do, because that's what we're interacting with on social media. So we will share stuff in there a lot. And it happens more than it does in the Facebook group because these things aren't necessarily connected the same way. Anyhow, so I see one today that I shared. It's a post from the Library of Congress about news. The Library of Congress has released a groundbreaking online collection of the National AIDS Memorial Quilts records, making one of the most poignant symbols of the AIDS epidemic in the U.S. available to a global audience. Like, I love it when things become digitally available for stuff. So I had shared this post in our stories, and then I was like, why don't we poke around a little bit here? And I just got into the Library of Congress. There is so much amazing stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where once you finally go in, and you go, crap, I have
You could,
been
oh, you could waste,
forgetting.
yes, you could waste days of your life. And I say waste. You could spend days of your life poking around in there. There's so much cool
Yeah,
stuff.
like I'm it's always
Yeah.
one of those like, oh my God, this whole time I have totally forgotten.
Yeah, and actually,
You know,
yeah, just as an aside, if you are into like this kind of archive of stuff, Library of Congress actually has a citizen. I'm trying to remember what they call it. It's basically like um, it's like a crowdsourced kind of efforts, and you can go in there and transcribe documents, all
well,
kinds of stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of cool like volunteer opportunities there, and I've done some of it for a while. I've just been too busy lately, but you get to see some
mhm.
cool records.
Well, I forgot that they have like the folk arts, folk life, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
folk life. I forget what they folk life something in here. It's down
Yeah.
here. American Folk Life Center. And I
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
know in the days of Mary Fawn's Quilt Nerd, she had mentioned them a few times because she might have found some Bertha stuff in there. I forget
Mm-hmm.
exactly. Um, but yeah, all of this stuff, there's 5,000 100 some odd records in here, and it's like all of the digital ephemera, so anything paper um related to making the quilt blocks. And I can only imagine the time it took to
Mm-hmm.
like because people always go like, oh, digital, like you still got to get it in there. You got to
Yeah.
scan it, you got, whatever.
Yes, it is. I mean, it is. It's a big project, and I mean, it's one thing. Like, when I do my Dunton research, I'm quickly like taking pictures with my phone. But
Hmm.
organizations that digitize things to like this to for people researchers to look at, like they take their time and they do it properly. So,
Yeah, so I will
yeah.
say that it does look like um this is just the ephemera side. Because when I had looked in here like about this collection, it's this online collection presents digitized images of the AIDS Memorial Quilt panel maker files housed in the American
Hmm.
Folklife Center. The panel maker files contain more than 150,000 mementos and ephemera submitted by quilt panel makers to the Names Project and the National AIDS Memorial, which memorializes victims of HIV/AIDS. So it when I got in, I quickly realized like, okay, this isn't actually the quilts, it's all paperwork and things and
Hmm.
letters and whatnot that go with them. So if any of you are doing any research
Yeah, I
related to that, like here's this great resource for you now.
yeah, and I think this is something that I mean it's yeah, I'm doing research that's starting to get into, the end of the 20th century with the bicentennial. But this is even, a decade newer than that, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's so much out there about this collection, about this quilt and now the stuff that goes along with it. But I think that there's so much opportunity for somebody to do some research and I think there's all kinds of different topics that could come out of this. And when
Mm-hmm.
Jill surprised me with what we were going to talk about, I actually happened to have my Names Project book right beside my desk, and I pulled that out. And this book is like a great companion to this. To be able to look at these things and put names together.
Mm-hmm. No, I love when things start to become available. All right, switching gears completely. We're gonna go back here to our New
Ooh.
England Quilt Study Day. And so we had a theme. And um, originally, when we were talking about this, Laura was like, I will pull red and green quilts from the collection. So I was like, okay, let's do a holiday theme here because not everything, needs to be red and green or Christmas or, something like that. Because like, well,
Or
example, I'm just
when
thinking
we
like
try
one of
for
my,
green and it comes out just looking like it's black.
yep. Well, I was just thinking like someone had like a Hanukkah quilt that could be a lot of blue,
Mm-hmm.
anyhow. So we just made it the theme of kind of like a holiday gathering. Um, there are quite a few red and green things in here. I did not take pictures of everything, Some people brought current projects they were working on, and I did not request to take photos of those, um, just because they're current projects, and I people may not want those shared, so I didn't even ask. Um, other things, I just like got involved in what I was looking at, and then like we moved on, and I was like, oh well. So people did bring a lot. I actually brought a good 6 quilts because people didn't only a couple people mentioned bringing a quilt. So if I only went off what people told me, I was like, oh, we only have like 3 of show and tell quilts. We had
Mm-hmm.
6 turning quilts. So I was like, oh, I'll come prepared in case.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up going dead last and only had time to show like 1.5. When I say 1.5, I mean one and a doll quilt.
Yeah.
So, or like a crib quilt. So and that's fine. Um but yeah, we had quite a bit. So this one is hold on, I'm gonna need, darn it, here I was like using, you're gonna have to pay attention to any comment stuff because I've gotta turn the stream off on my phone so I can look at
Ah,
notes.
I'm watching
um
comments.
so this quilt is a quilt that was gifted to Anita Lascalzo by Barbara Brackman,
Oh.
and it was just kind of a scenario of, hey, do you want this? And she said okay. And based on her opinion, she thinks that potentially this block is a leftover from something.
Mm-hmm.
These on the sides are leftovers from something, and these are leftovers from maybe the same quilt, but
Mm-hmm.
something. And they put it all together at another time and then added this paisley border. And it's kind of funny because I don't know if I have a zoom in of it later. So let me. Oh, those blues. But yeah, like they kind of like
Yeah.
mishmash this block together up here. Where on this side
Yeah,
it's
you have the full complete block, yeah.
yeah. So and then Anita used this to do her own AQSG study quilt when they did the medallions study, which is still
Ah,
traveling.
okay, yeah. I was
And
gonna say this is an interesting medallion quilt.
yeah, it actually just reminded me it's still traveling, and someone just posted about it. Let me just see real fast here. Come on, phone. There we go. Hmm. Someone just posted. Oh, so it is currently at the Fiber Arts Center
On the
of the
Eastern Shore?
Eastern Shore
Yeah.
in Denton, Maryland.
Yeah, I need to get out there. That's some of my people from the study group I go to are all affiliated with the Fiber Arts Center.
It's a very, I mean, New England Quilt Museum had it, I think, right after I attended the Louisville seminar. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like maybe. Yeah, we already had it.
Yeah.
It's very good. So you definitely should go see it. So yeah, just another shot
I
of
love how those would where ordinarily I guess those would be Rosa Sharon. That's
mhm.
it's kind of a wig rose sort of thing in the middle. I like how they're instead have that little cutout of the
So
a
I
heart.
think, yeah, Sarah, I have a close up. So Anita pointed out that she's never seen that before anywhere. It's
Yeah.
reverse applique. And was curious if any of us had ever seen it anywhere. Also, we'll see this fabric again in something else. This one's actually a really good example because it's retaining a lot of the black,
Mm-hmm.
where these white spots is where it's eaten through and you have the loss. And there's another quilt where there's so much of the loss that it actually looks purposeful.
Looks like white polka dots. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's her inspiration. And then she also brought the book to show us her rendition of the quilt.
Oh, very cool.
And
Very
she
cool.
and she made sure that that block, didn't get chopped up and weird. She made it go the right direction.
Yeah, and
But
I'm
yeah,
wondering. Yeah, I'm wondering if in that the original if those were like setting blocks or something. That
yeah.
how they got cut in half.
Well, it was also one of the new people that came was like, "How did you get this?" And she's like, "Oh, she gave it to me." And we were like, "See, that's what happens sometimes."
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yes. You get
When you
gifted things.
befriend people that might be downsizing or things, is they just go like, "You get a quilt, and you get a quilt, and you
Mm-hmm.
get a quilt," you know? Just like when grandma was cleaning out her quilt closet when you were a kid. She
Yeah.
passed off all the quilts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So next
Ooh.
here, this is a member quilt, which was very striking to me. I have never seen an ocean waves in red and green. Have
I
you?
haven't either. They're usually got some blue in it. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
I
that's
I am thoroughly. I was like, wow, my eyes really like this a lot. And I will give the disclaimer that generally speaking, I don't like fawn over Christmas quilts. And I know this isn't necessarily a Christmas
yeah,
quilt, but to our modern day eyes.
I'm not a red and green together person either. I mean, because it does. It just automatically reminds you of Christmas. But for me,
Mhm.
red and green's hard to look at together.
Hmm.
You know, because it gives you that like
But you loved that monstrosity plaid
I
thing that I
did.
put
Oh,
weird out.
that monstrosity was so special.
But for you to be like red and green is hard for me to look at together, but you're like, oh,
It
but this
is.
like really insanely busy thing is totally
But that's a
okay.
difference between the busyness of the print and the what the color, how your eyes perceive the color. It's apples and oranges, my friend. Tell us about
Uh-huh.
this quilt. I'm fascinated by this.
Um, something, I don't have a whole lot of information about this one. Most of my information is about the quilts in the permanent collection. Um, because I was too busy engaged in a side conversation about the colored quilting thread here.
Oh,
On the
oh,
back, yeah,
interesting.
they did matching quilting thread.
Huh.
Um,
Oh, and
yeah,
that
so I
green
thought,
is not solid. I just realized that
no,
green is like
no.
a pattern. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. Yes, LJ, the monstrosity was appealing. It was plaid. Yes, it was fantastic.
And also the quilting on here, like in the white space, because notice you just got the
Hmm.
straight line quilting over here. Um, and then in this white space, you got these
Is it a,
really cute small crosshatch quilting.
okay? So
And
it's a grid and it's yeah,
only, let
it's a
me
grid.
see if I can hold on. So in the white, you've just got like like it comes out to be squares, like,
Mm,
but then when you get down into like the red and the border, it's just a single line.
gotcha.
So
Okay.
it makes, see how it makes this just like pop
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
much more. And then what's funny is so AQSG has their group, their Friends of the Needle,
Mm-hmm.
that like documents quilting patterns, right? Am I getting that right? Um,
I think I don't know about documenting quilting patterns. I
I
thought their
think it's
thing their I thought their thing was about hand quilting. It was about
I think there's something about documenting some cool patterns in there,
okay.
and the reason I bring
I'm
it
not
up,
yeah, I'm not the one to say one way or the other because I have never been to
no,
one
and
of
I'm
their
not 100% certain just because I haven't deeply looked into it, but it was in the discussions that were happening between like myself and Laura
Gotcha.
after the event. She brought that up
Mm-hmm.
and said, "Have you seen their new like documentation paper they put out?" And I said, "I haven't."
Ooh,
And she's like, "That might
yeah.
be really interesting as a topic or something
Yeah. Yeah, I
to
didn't know
do
that they're
one
putting anything
day."
out.
And I had just been like, I haven't been able to go to one of their meetings at
Mm-hmm.
AQSG's seminar because I'm always busy doing something else at that time.
Yeah.
And
Same.
but I would be interested in potentially learning more about that and employing it in looking at some stuff. So because we did see some very interesting quiltingness going on here.
Yeah, and did she say where that what they published where that's available? Is that something that's
Oh,
available
it's on
or
the AQSG website.
oh, okay. I'll have to check that
Yeah,
out.
probably in like the members portal.
Okay.
I just hadn't had a chance to look at it. It only just came to my brain right now. But this is also from the same person who brought the last quilt. She said she has a big thing for red and green. So I like look over and she's pulling stuff out of a suitcase on wheels. So it's like,
Yeah. That's
woman
when you
after my own heart.
yeah, that's when you know a quilt study old timer. They come dragging like um, the Army Navy duffel bags on both shoulders, or the wheelie case,
Well,
the wheelie cases.
and you know what's funny is this that one other meeting I had went to, I don't remember if this person was there or not. I only see them. They're involved with the quilt documentation that happens at the museum once a
Mm,
month roughly.
gotcha.
And so that's when I see her if I'm being used as one of like the alternate volunteers that day. So we've never even gotten into talking about like if she had a personal collection or anything like that. And then let me just preface this with like these photos are used with permission. Um, so this thing I loved because well, for one, like I love me a good princess feather, but
Mm-hmm.
with the orange in it and this little block. Look at this
Yeah,
little.
I was
It's a
notice.
four patch,
Okay,
like
I
this
was
big
noticing that, and I was like, is that like another little applique? Like, what is around it? Is that
I think it's like a star block, and I
okay?
wonder if it was like made with the scraps of
Yeah, it looks
making
like the
like
same
a yarn.
colors. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then half me was just like, what was this little block planned? Was it an afterthought? Was it like, look, we've got this little block. Oh my God, look, it's right here. Yay. Like, make sure you make the sashing as wide as the block so that it
Mm-hmm.
fits, like,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one a lot.
Yeah, I like a princess feather.
And it was I mean this green is still super vibrant.
Mm-hmm.
Um of course you got like the most fading you had was, in the red. Um but yeah, like look at that green.
Did
Like
they have a date on this one? I didn't ask you about the last one.
I don't think that she did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that she had a date. I don't know if she had a date, but other people probably had their opinion of a date.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like someone said like 1860 to 70, but
That's what I was gonna.
don't quote,
That was
don't
my.
quote. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's really hard to take notes in this unless we're actually recording people's voices
Mm-hmm.
because you've got the person presenting whatever quote we're looking at, and then you'll also have side conversations that
Mm-hmm.
happen about different. So it's very hard to record or to take notes. Um, there is a part of me that is like maybe we should be recording uh these for posterity, for documentation purposes. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that would not be something that happens tomorrow. So,
Yeah.
anywho, but yeah, the screen was just fantastic.
Yeah.
And then the borders, like we
Yes.
just
LJ
like,
just mentioned those borders are wow, and those
mhm.
points look perfectly good. No cutoff points
Well, I
there. Well,
mean,
maybe
they're
a little
not.
bit of cutoff points. Now that I say that, and then I'm going, oh no,
Yeah,
wait a minute, those are some cutoff points.
I mean, like this one, bravo. But yeah, points are a pain in the
Points are
patoot.
hard.
Yeah, points are hard. Um, and like just doing this right now, and us sitting here discussing these photos and things gives me more reason to think that maybe there should be some bigger efforts in kind of recording, so to speak, some events or study days or things like that
Mm-hmm.
for people that can't attend but still want to be a part of things. However that ends up looking, it's just got some things percolating in my brain. It's
Yeah.
more stuff for you to get involved in, Stephanie.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have definitely have ideas about not all of the study groups have the same sort of. I don't want. They're not this like I don't know, this formal, but like charter. They have kind of a
Mm-hmm.
different mindset about how they're going to do things. And so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this what you guys are doing here is really exciting.
Mm-hmm. So this was our one of our first time attendees here. This right here is our
Ah,
friend Katie O'Donnell.
yeah.
She brought a box of blocks with her that I didn't end up taking
Ooh.
photos of because like I said, I did not take photos of everything. This right here is the quilt owner. She's got her name's Deneen. Isn't that the coolest name?
Yeah, I'm trying
She's
to
a
think.
cool
I don't
lady.
know. Yeah, I've known a Deneen.
I've never heard that name before. But yeah, she is a cool lady. I like her a lot. She's lots of fun. This is mine,
That looks familiar.
doesn't it?
Uh-huh.
And what's funny is because this was more on the informal side. Um we didn't put a timer on anybody. So it was just, one of those mental notes for next time is like we'll have to just rein in a little more like time
Mm-hmm.
wise how long people are talking. So mine was like I threw I'm like we were at time like 3 o'clock and I'm like I just have something I want to show you guys real quick. Boom. And then I like threw a Christmas looking doll quilt or crib quilt on top of it. I didn't take a picture of that, but um I threw this one out and everyone's like, ooh. And for anyone that does not remember, we live streamed this auction, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So this came, I'll give a plug here. This came from Dana Auctions.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the auction she did that was the Bobby Og auction.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
Steph and I did live stream that auction. It actually might have been on your Twitch now that I think about it.
Yeah, I can't remember
And
where we streamed it. I do know that I got one of my eagle quilts from there.
yeah, I actually think it was your Twitch. So
Yeah.
so if you wanted to watch that, it's on a rerun like on her YouTube for her Twitch. So this one of the things that was so shocking, this is a paper cut quilt. It's dated 1920s, and the provenance obviously is that it's from the Bobby Ogg collection, and it has a tag on the back that says Bobby Ogg, and it has like whatever her version of like a inventory number is. Um, then the reason I bought this was because I was so shocked that it wasn't going for more money. Um,
Jill's
it
like,
was
they're
that was
practically giving this quilt away for free, so I'm going to go ahead and bid on it.
Well, that was that auction we had where we were watching that we were really surprised. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was that auction where we were like, wow, we really can't get a read on this audience and what
Yeah.
excites them and what doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would have thought this absolutely would have excited that audience and it didn't. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. Well, it excites the hell out of me. So
It's a really
um
cool quilt. I think it's really
it's
awesome.
very cool.
And I imagine in my mind, I'm imagining that this person like was just a really good paper cutter and
Hmm.
cut these patterns themselves. And I mean, paper cutting, obviously, cut paper is used in Hawaiian quilts, but it was also heavily used in the Pennsylvania Dutch regions.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's got all this really cool like little baby kind of scalloped
hmm
whole thing on it. And then somebody in the room, I don't remember who, one person had mentioned that this looked like one of those masquerade ball masks.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, even like you can even like see like the nose here, and these are the eyes. Like, um, I don't. Did I get an? Oop, sorry. Let's see if I got it. Okay, I took it a close up. Yeah. I don't know. This block just makes me really happy. And then someone else was mentioning, I forget who it was now, about because I'm pretty sure you just mentioned Pennsylvania, and I'm pretty sure didn't I tell you like I feel it wasn't like the Provenance, Pennsylvania? Actually, wait, hold on. Ooh, do open.
It always seems like we find provenance being Pennsylvania so often, but yeah, I don't remember. And I believe the paper cutting is called Scherenschnitt. I think I might be pronouncing it somewhere
Oh,
near right. Scherenschnitt.
I have not.
Scherenschnitte.
I have not heard
Scherenschnitte.
that term, but someone was mentioning that like if it is indeed like Pennsylvania and things, kind of some of that like iconography around
Mm-hmm.
like horseshoes
Yep.
and
Yep. And the
whatnot.
star. Yeah, the star in
Mhm.
the center. Yeah.
Um. So yeah, that one was mine. Oh, and there's my little close up of that guy. So don't pay attention to the stuff in the background here. We're looking at this
That
like
is very
uh
pretty.
doll quilt here. You have
Mm-hmm.
the star. Um, so like kind of out of order for me now. So this is a Connecticut doll quilt. Came from the Reese family and made by Adeline Lewis Frost in circa
Ooh,
1855.
wow.
Uh-huh. Here's a
Looks
close up.
looks like it's
This
in
this red
beautiful shape.
it is. This red print here is one of my favorite red prints. Um yeah, it's in fantastic shape. And then this is
Oh,
her.
Adeline, a dour-looking woman.
Mhm. Isn't she sweet?
She's like, I make a beautiful quilt. Oh.
Yeah, she's like, I am very happy about that amazing Starburst quilt that I made. You look at it.
Now, granted, they had to sit a long time to get these pictures, but I have seen pictures where they did smile and not look like this.
Well, if I had to sit forever to get that picture, I'd probably have that kind of look on my face too. Um,
Ah, gorgeous.
yeah, now I have because my things are out of order based on the way that I had to label them. Oh, Julia. Okay. So this quilt is attributed to Julia Ann Mitchellcroft Hogue, I think is the way it's pronounced,
Okay.
Pennsylvania. Um, and supposedly it was made as a wedding quilt either by or for Julia. But yeah, look at all this quilting. It's interesting because this you've got that kind of like wreath quilting
Mm-hmm.
just around this. What would you
Sorry,
I didn't look
stifling
it
a
up and
sneeze.
no one oh, I didn't look it up and no one mentioned it. What would this block be called? Is it like a scallop flower?
I don't
Clamshell
know. I
flower
mean, yeah,
maybe?
they're clamshells for sure.
Yeah, because it's
Um,
that scallopy thingy.
yeah, it's
I'd never
interesting.
seen
Yeah,
this.
I have not seen this either. It looks very modern. But yeah, the clamshells, I mean, by reducing the size of the clamshells based on the negative space they create is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's very clever.
But yeah, there's this like there's oh my God, what are these called? These
Feathers?
yes. I couldn't remember the name either when we were standing in there in the room and I was like, what are these called? No one said it. But I was like, you know those ones that, like if you're not doing it great, it looks like a weird banana. And nobody said it. Anyhow, I find it interesting that it's just around this flower, essentially creating like a wreath around it. I'm assuming that you can see what I mean there. And then like
Yeah,
this
yeah.
really like tight spaced like straight line quilting on the
Mm-hmm.
side here that makes this like cool triangle shape.
Yep. LJ says this block is new to her as well.
Mm-hmm. And then they did this, you know, kind of vine in here, and then they quilted it too. Like see how it's quilted kind of in like a
Yeah, okay. So it's like a mirror of the or a
mm-hmm.
shadow version of the vine. That's interesting.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Really enjoying this fabric too. Although if I blow this one up, it's not coming out super great. Meh. Meh. Okay, that one comes out better.
Mm-hmm.
So then this is that same print where there's like black
Yeah,
that's
it's got
coming
more
out.
loss.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think hold on, I think I have another close up. No, that's of the quilting. I took that quilting in the middle there because see how they all come together and create this diamond.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I just realized that it's the corners around the wreath
Mm-hmm.
that creates those or the
Let
square
me go
shape.
back to this one and let me turn. There we
Oh, I
go.
know, LJ. So the fact that these works hold up after all these years always surprises me. Same, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when you know that they were just for pretty quilt, or you know, they were a wedding gift or some special occasion gift, and they ended up in a a cedar chest or something.
So it's kind of hard to tell. You can kind of tell in this block, but see right here, there's like a black line.
Mm-hmm.
So on this one down here, you can see where that black has been disappearing and it's wearing in this like checkerboard
Huh.
kind of. See that? Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And then
it's
look at all these tiny stitches. We
and
should have gotten out a ruler to see the stitches per inch.
that's a double row, right? They're
It looks like it, yeah.
Wow. To do a row of very teeny tiny, tiny stitches and then to go and make a row right beside it of very tiny
Mhm.
stitches. That's a
She's
lot
like,
of
don't you
work.
worry about me. I'm gonna be extra. Yeah, I'm gonna be extra. Oh, okay. I did get a really good close up. Okay. I thought I hadn't, but yeah, I thought, isn't that cool how that's Katie's actually the one that pointed that out to me that
Yeah,
that was
that's
wearing
it's
that way.
yeah, it's very strange that it's doing that,
Yeah,
but
because you can see a little
yeah.
bit of the black like hiding like right here and right here,
Mhm.
and it's just eaten away. Oh, and then the corner of the border had another one of those little flowers. Isn't that?
Huh.
I didn't
Yeah.
notice it at first because it was hanging over. Um, and then I asked one of the gals to hold it up. That's probably Laura's hand or something. But yeah, I was like, wow, that's I'm enjoying that because it looks a little bit different. It almost gives me sunflower vibes as opposed to
Yeah,
the big.
instead of the clamshell. Yeah, yeah, it does.
Mhm.
It does. Yeah, this quilting
Are
is
you having
awesome,
a
isn't
bad
it?
time?
No. Look at
I
this. Oh my gosh.
was gonna
Oh,
say none of
this.
this should be surprising because I did post these online
And I have yet to have a chance to look at them. So,
in the group. Now this is just a coverlet. Brr, brr, brr. Hold on, which one? Okay, so this one has an interesting story. So it's from Passaic, New Jersey. Laura felt that it had some New York characteristics for one, like these leaves.
mhm.
And apparently Passaic, New Jersey is not, far from. But anywho, it was a an auction in New Jersey where this person bought a dresser. And when they got the dresser home and they opened the drawer,
And found this.
and it was this quilt, well, this coverlet. And there's some very interesting things in here. I mean, we were staring at this thing for a while. Like I said, we probably needed to be a little better with time management. Because this thing, we were making up all kinds of stories about how they made it, why they made, for one, like right here, like they got drunk. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, I mean, to me, it's got religious iconography, so I'm guessing maybe that's what that
So
is. Well,
there's some things that you're not able to see, so we'll get there. But we've got some like tomatoes here.
is that are they tomatoes?
I mean, that's what they. What do you think they look like?
Some sort of fruit. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I
tomato.
mean, they're very tomatoey looking.
Yes. Um, like look at this. Like
That is
what is it, like
very cool.
rosebud or tulip or something?
Yeah, I was about to ask the same thing. That's a watermelon over there, right?
Yes, it is a watermelon. You will see that. Don't worry. But yeah, like and then they like, they have these little like embroidery motifs on
Mm-hmm.
here that just add that little something something. So what I'm focusing on here are two things. This this here, where we've got these little red pieces. Like what do you think they are? Like strawberries? Um, whoop. That's not what I meant to do. Sorry.
Um,
They kind of look like strawberries, don't they, on a vine?
yeah, or some kind of little berry or some kind of little something. I don't know.
And then this guy over here, these little things are stuffed. Look at the
Yeah.
bug.
Ah, a little bug. Oh, I love
Yeah,
it.
there's a bug.
I
And
think it's
yeah,
interesting. The word album is there too.
yep.
That's interesting. So I'm guessing
And
this
at
is
the
an
bottom,
album.
if you didn't notice on the home picture, was 1880.
Yeah, I saw the date. So this is, I guess,
Yeah.
an album of stitching.
And then, we got this sexy bird guy here with kind of, I mean, it looks like he's wearing a little hat. I'm sure that's probably supposed to be like his feathers or something, but yeah, that bug.
That is
I'm like
precious.
across the room and I was just like, is that a bug? Did they
Oh,
make a
it's
bug?
so wonderful. And I mean, you know that this person had like a sense of humor or a sense of whimsy about them.
Well, and you know what it reminded me of? For anyone that's been around since like the Mary Fonz Quilt Nerd days, at one point there was all this joking about one of the hogs on the famous Harriet Powers Bible quilt,
Mm-hmm.
and um Steph had made a card about, we called her Bets the hog.
Mhm.
Bets was an independent hog. And this bug reminds me of like that same kind of like, temporary kind of mascot
Mhm.
type of thing. So, so tell me what you think about this bug.
Janet said, or a realist, that there will be bugs if there are fruit. That too.
Yeah, but half of me is like what would you name this bug? And what kind of bug do you think it is?
A tomato weevil? I don't know.
Yeah, people in the chat, what kind of bug do you think this is?
Hmm.
Yeah, see, it's hard to tell. Like, and also like I'm guessing like are these like his antenna? Are they the pinchers? Like, look at his little feet. Look at his little leg. So we can just,
Delightful.
I think I have another picture of him too. Then we have this block, which was really cool. And there's
Yeah, that one's
10
fun.
rings. One of the gals was commenting, like, it's really not easy to do 10 rings. So she was wondering if 10 was a symbolic number of some kind to whoever made this.
Janet says it's a mole cricket. Are those creepy humpback things? Is that what you're talking about? The cave crickets? I think that might be what you're talking about. They're sort of scary looking.
We talk about interesting things over here. Here we go. I got another picture.
See, I think he's just a little beetle. Just a little beetle going after some grapes.
Wow. I think he's stuffed too. I didn't notice because the berries are stuffed. So I think he's stuffed. But like this picture is like, you know how we were talking about big booty eagles? This is like big booty bugs.
He's very cute. I love him.
Isn't it? Right? That's why I was like, do something with the bug. Check this out. All of the, I'm assuming these are strawberries.
Yeah,
All
see,
of
now
the
this looks
seeds
like
are
strawberries.
just stitches.
Stitches. Yeah. Very cool. Oh, and I
And then
didn't
this
realize there's
one,
that blue thread in there. I'm wondering if
yeah,
that was.
yeah,
Yeah.
like this block doesn't have the stems as applique. It's embroidery.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we probably could have studied this one all day.
Yes.
But like this one, I mean, actually, luckily, Laura's kind of a genius because she saved this one for last of her turning. So this is in the permanent collection of the New England Quilt Museum. So like it can
Oh.
it can be visited if you wanted to visit it.
Hmm. Good to know.
Ew, that picture didn't come out good. There we go. Okay, let me turn this. There we go. Hard when you're like taking pictures across like four like 6 foot long tables.
I know it's
But
difficult to get pictures at quilt
people
training or quilt
we're
study.
wondering, we're trying to talk about like what kind of flowers these are. I can see them in my head, but I can't picture a name.
My neighbor has some. I think I can't remember. They're not
Yeah, I
bleeding
mean,
heart.
at one point I'm just thinking, I don't know,
Yeah.
they're kind of alien tentacle flowers. Like they're coming for you. But they're very nicely like done. And
And
then here's the
there's the
watermelon.
watermelon.
The seeds are thread.
Wow. Those are very, very interesting. Janet said bird of paradise for those flowers.
Oh, man, there's nothing paradise looking about those things. They're bird of death. Bird of your nightmares flowers.
I think bird of paradise is a good guess. I mean,
Mhm.
there's several of those exotic looking flowers that.
Yeah, like this kind of block is very, I don't know that I've seen something like that on something else. Kind of makes this block kind of makes me feel like a bleeding heart
Mm-hmm.
kind of a
Mm-hmm.
flower. Now moving on.
Ooh.
This one was also very good shape. Also in the permanent collection. This is the uh Larkin family peony quilt. It's from Tolan, Massachusetts. Um, and this one could have been made by mother or daughter or we were kind of thinking maybe two hands because there are some blocks that have some very significant differences in
Oh,
creation, technique and things like
gotcha.
that. I don't know that I have a close up of.
From this vantage point, it's beautiful.
Oh, it is. No, I totally. No, not like a big problem, but example, like I don't think you're gonna be able to see it super well, but which one? I think it's
I see there's maybe some size differences in that cross
well,
shaped
like see how
piece.
this one has a bunch more stems than like this one has?
Ah, yeah.
Stuff like that. Nothing that was like,
Hmm.
oh my God, but just some things like that. Some small
Gotcha.
differences. Um, no, but very very striking.
Wow. Yeah.
And so the daughter, I believe it is, her name is Sarah Ann, and they have her diary, and she wrote in it in 1870,
Oh,
spent all day quilting.
wow.
So again, reasons to think doing some of this, some of that. Could it have been her?
Yeah, I can't even.
But
I
it's in
mean,
phenomenal
18,
condition.
potentially 1870s. Yeah. I mean, this looks like it was made yesterday.
And I believe
Well, maybe
this
the back
is
of it doesn't look like it's made yesterday. It was made yesterday and somebody immediately peed on it. That's why it looks like that. But no, I mean, gosh, what stunning.
um we've got pictures. So tell you, it was not easy to get this picture because we've got the overhead lights on, and I'm
Hmm.
like trying. It's in a screen safe protector, so I'm like trying to like
Yeah.
move and
Oh,
move.
it's yes, it's so
Um,
hard to not to miss the glare.
and I forget because we're looking at the fronts. Which ones? I feel like this is probably mom and that's daughter, but I forget. I've got another photo. I've got the back. Okay. So Sarah Marshall, the mother of birth. That one. Hmm. Sarah Mar, because I know there was like a cousin or something. That's what I'm saying. It's so hard to take. Okay, so this is Sarah Ann. Okay, so the little one is Sarah Ann. So this the back. This is the one that we have. This one is the one that we have her diary. Um, and I mean, she looks like again, nobody looks happy in their photos,
I know.
but maybe she was tired after quilting all day. But I think it's cool that, like, I mean, it makes me happy that people. Wow, she died in 1908, born 1838. Whew. So, like, her whole life was defined by like Queen
Yeah.
Victoria's.
Yeah.
Um, this one,
That's very pretty.
pineapples.
And I like
Um,
what they've done in the border. That's interesting. I've never seen that
yes,
before.
the border's very interesting. So we've got Susan G. I think it's Wog is the maker. We've got that swag border. Um, this right here, which I have a close up of. Originally, we were looking at it and like, oh, there's flange. No, it's cording.
Yeah, I was gonna say that looks like piping or something.
Yeah, it's cording that they wrapped fabric around because there's some places in it that has the dye, that's eaten away, and you can actually see the cord
Hmm.
inside. Yeah, so we've got some the red there. The pattern has a lot of dye drop. This is circa 1860, and this also has that double line quilting, which Diana Annis had told us all, and she's a recent she's a newly minted quilt appraiser. That double line quilting is called double rotting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, we're learning all the things here. But yeah, see, like it had looked like it was just a flange of this red fabric,
Hmm.
and then we could see later
That it's
that there's
actually piping.
actually cording in it. And I think I got one that's closer to this. But yeah, see where the dye drop has happened
Hmm.
here,
Yep.
and you can see the white cord because you can see here the yellow polka dots.
Yep.
And it was also interesting how they cut it in such a way so that it would line up to look like that.
I
You
know. I
know.
was noticing that. That's clearly intentional. They did a nice job.
Hmm. And you can see here all of the dye drop. Cause see the couple of black
Mm-hmm.
spots that are still there. Like this one has like next to nothing. And from afar, you wouldn't actually notice that that's not how that's supposed to look.
No, I know. From a distance, it just looks like polka dots. It looks like a secondary
Oh
polka
my
dot.
God. Every time someone says it in that way, I always think of that song. From a distance, this fabric looks perfectly fine.
Unfortunately, I have seen a lot of quilts with that,
Mm-hmm.
with that
Mm-hmm.
batting polka dot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then here's that
The dub,
um
the double rot.
double rotting. The rodding. And I got a nice close up there of the dye drop.
And it's such a bummer because it would
Mm-hmm.
look so different if it was still there.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's I mean it's a pretty fabric.
Hmm.
Half of me is like, wow, I think I would enjoy the black polka dots.
Yeah, I would too.
And then yeah, there you go. There's that cord.
That's crazy.
Isn't that cool? And yeah, like I said, originally all of us, so people that are like, what do you do in a quilt study? Well, so we have in this group, like Laura Lane is the collections manager at the New England Quilt Museum, so she was the one
Hmm.
doing this training. One of the people in attendance was Anita Lascalzo, who's the previous curator of the New England Quilt Museum. We have another, we've got Katie there, who's a textile conservationist. We
Hmm.
had Diana, who's an appraiser and things. And originally, even Laura was like, oh, it's a flange. And then as we're all looking at it, someone says, I think there's a cord. And then we all go over and look, and lo and behold, everyone's like, oh my God, look, there's a cord.
Hmm.
Like they took the time to wrap
Yeah.
fabric around this cord and things. So this is the reason to do a quilt study, to go to a quilt study. If you've got a quilt and you're like, I don't know what this thing is, you
Hmm.
bring it to a quilt study, and all of these people bring in their own little nuggets
Yeah,
of
I know
information.
I've seen situations where, I mean, you buy a quilt and if you spread it out on a bed or a table and you look at it, you examine it, but I've definitely seen people at quilt studies throw a quilt out and somebody goes, "Oh, look, there's a date here." And they've never seen it
Yep.
before.
That actually happened to me one day that I was when I had been going to help um Julia Kelly Houdinus at PK Trouvé pack up for seminar.
Hmm.
And I was just helping her take some photos of some things on beds because it's cumbersome. And I found a date on something she was looking at that she had no
Never
idea.
noticed it, yeah.
Yeah, never knew it was there. And it's so easy to miss
Yeah,
something
and
like that,
sometimes
especially when it's
sometimes
small.
it's just as simple as like you just have not had your eyeballs up that close or the
Or the
lighting,
lighting.
yeah,
Yeah.
or something, yeah. And it's
Mm-hmm.
I think it's definitely helpful even if you know a lot about a quilt
Mm-hmm.
to throw it out in front of other people and
Mm-hmm.
get their thoughts on it too.
Nope, there was a first time attendee there who was really excited because they were finally like learning a lot of the like lingo
Hmm.
and what things are called and stuff. No, it was a good time. And then this was passed around with it made in 1860 by oh, did this one actually spell it out? Did I say
Is it Susan?
I said
Cousin
Susan. Oh
Susan?
no, it's Susan. Okay. Oh, I spelled it wrong though. Susan G. Wog. What is that?
Is it mother of Catherine McCullough?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, mother of Catherine W. McCulloch.
I believe their names
McCall.
are Waugh and McCullough.
Okay, whatever makes you happy. I'm not gonna argue. Not gonna argue. Here's a piece of that swag border because I love that little leaf and the quilting and that little leaf. It's cutie.
Yeah, I don't think I have ever seen something like that in a border where it's just that different color section of and it's
Hmm.
very, yeah. I think it was nice.
Is this one okay too?
Yeah, that one's gorgeous.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to be. I'm like, how's this one? Um, Technically, when I had loaded these up, this was supposed to be the first one because this was at the top of her pile. But when I have to name them, they like anywho. So this one is
Is this the one
they're
you sent me a picture of this already, didn't you?
mhm.
Okay. I was gonna
I
say,
might have.
like, you sent me. I know you sent me an eagle.
Oh no, that was something
That was a
totally different.
different. That was a different eagle. Okay, so then I
That was
haven't
something
seen this
totally
one.
different. Um, so they really have next to no information on this quote. Um, except they think it's before 1860 because and they I'm sorry, wondering if it could potentially have some connection with the Mexican War
Yes, because those
because
look like Christmas cactuses.
yeah, because of the Christmas cactus. And then Vanessa actually pointed out too that the way that this eagle is portrayed with the flag. So, um,
Yeah, and yeah, that
I love this border too.
yeah, that's interesting. It's very
Mhm.
simple compared to what's going on in the blocks.
And then we spent a number of minutes talking about this block because we've got like the sand dollar, right?
Hmm.
And then we've got these, which obviously give Princess Feather vibes, but then we were like,
Hmm.
it kind of looks like a lobster or claw, doesn't it? Like, kind of looks like a lobster claw.
It looks like something, something coming out.
And then, hold on, let me. Okay, see, excuse me. I had to take a picture of Eagle at like this, like weird angle, but
Hmm.
I had mentioned like the like the contorting of like the head
Hmm.
and if that was indicative of anything like and Laura mentioned that it is kind of an eagle style portraying them that way,
Yeah.
but I feel like I haven't seen a lot of that in what I've looked at. Have you been seeing a
Not
lot of
in
that lately?
quilts, not necessarily in quilts.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely seen that in other things, like where an eagle is on some type of regalia and it's like, it's doing like a half gainer or something, a triple sow
Mm-hmm.
cow, whatever. Um, but yeah, I don't think I've seen it on a quilt like this. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, well, so
this
at
is
the
an
bare
interesting one.
minimum, I had to get a good picture of the eagle for you, but this is in the permanent collection.
Okay, all right.
So yeah, so you can visit this, and then of course I had to get the cactus because it was interesting because this is like woven in the
Mm-hmm.
basket here. Like it's very finely done.
Janet's asking, can you explain the eagle with a flag? I'm wondering if she means what Vanessa said, the eagle with the flag, like.
Oh well, Vanessa just wondered. She just mentioned that there's in Mexican culture like portraying the eagle with the flag might have something to do with the Mexican War. That we didn't go deep into that. It was just kind of an
Yeah.
aside comment because basically it was just a lot of questions
Hmm.
about
Well, yeah. I
what
mean, I do
about.
know. I mean, I have seen kind of some iconography that is flag and eagle. That's Central and South American. Um,
Mm-hmm.
why it comes out between its wings. Now, you don't have a straight on image of the eagle?
Hold on one second.
Okay.
I wanted to just let me just
Ooh,
the
look at
quilting
that
on this is
quilting.
really cool. Yeah.
And that is teacup
I'm
quilting, by the way.
oh, no one mentioned that. Let me see if I go back to the original. Yeah, let me go back to the let's see. This might be easier to
Yeah, it's kind of like it's sprouting up from like its shoulder blades or something.
yeah. Oh yeah, because it's like if we it
Yeah,
depends on
it's
how
almost
it
like.
well it, yeah, it depends on how you want to look at the eagle. Like, is the eagle facing front and just ducking its head down like this, or is the eagle's head kind of back like this and ducking down? But yeah, it looks like it's
Yeah,
coming out from its wings.
yeah. To me, that looks like they were just trying to get it in there.
I mean, it is a tight it is tight,
But
like
you know
how close it is to the
what
block
is
above it.
interest? Yeah, I mean, but what is interesting? Yeah, they have taken a block and they've filled the space of the block with not a lot of padding.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
yeah.
I'm sure there will be far more detailed pictures when Stephanie comes to look at the eagle quilts in the New England Quilt Museum collection, whenever that happens.
Depends on how many you have, and are they all being pulled out for me?
I don't see why they wouldn't be. I love these blocks. They make me so happy.
There's something very modern about this too. It's very
I was
like
gonna
they're
say it kind of reminds me of Lori Holt type stuff.
yeah, they're kind of simplified, kind of yeah, sort of modern paper cut looking.
Although I'll tell you, these leaves are interesting.
Yeah, they are.
They like that. That's those are some pointy leaves.
Yeah. I'm wondering, but they're maybe they were trying to portray something there.
And I'm obsessed with the quilting.
Yeah, that quilting is very cool, and it's called teacup quilting because it's just they take a teacup, put it down, and mark around it.
So here in this photo we have Vanessa right here. This is the one of the first time attendees, Miranda, who is soon going to be a volunteer.
Exciting.
And for anyone that's ever wondering, that's heard me talk about her, this is Martha,
Okay.
who runs. She's in charge of the library at the Quilt Museum. And then I liked this photo just because one, it showed people, and then I like the juxtaposition here of this, 18, what did I say, 1860s quilt in the back here, and then this modern Joe Cunningham quilt up here.
Ah, that's a Joe Cunningham. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then that is our last photo.
Well, that was very cool, and I think LJ had mentioned like, oh, the red and green. I don't like red and green necessarily, but I do kind of like looking at them. They're all hiding. They're all hiding their hands. They're all hiding their hands. Yeah, because they have a quilt they've snatched. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I do like looking at them because they are very striking, and some of those quilts, I don't want to say ubiquitous, but the red and green quilts, things with the princess feathers, and some of those very similar devices. It's interesting to see a bunch of them together, because then you start really zooming in on like, oh, this one does this one does that, instead of just going like, yeah, seen one, seen them all. You can really spend some time looking at stuff. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I agree.
Well,
lots of eye candy.
Our event was 3 hours. We did an hour-ish of some snacky munchy time, also because like not everyone shows up like right when a thing's gonna start. We did a little chatting about other venues, places, things like that. And then we did 2 hours of stuff. So we did 1 hour pretty much of Laura's quilt turning, and then an hour of like show and tell. Obviously there's not munchies every time, so
Yeah,
but it
goes by fast.
It does go by really fast.
Yeah, because ours are the ones I go to. One of them is later in the day. It's not really around lunchtime, but the two of them are, that you're encouraged to bring your lunch if you want to eat there, and then eat from like 11 or 11:30 to 12, and then the actual study begins at 12. Everybody has to put their food and drink away.
and then how long do you guys go for that group?
Until 3. So
yeah. So your event's closer to 4 hours.
Yeah, because people will come and to eat lunch together beforehand, and I've always missed that because they're kind of a long drive for me, both the two that I'm talking about. So a lot of times I'll just get there, right before
and just like eat in the car on the way.
Yeah.
Well, and that was the reason why I wanted to have some munchies, and why I wanted to munch first was we did noon to 3, and the reason to leave at 3 was so people came upwards of 2 hours away, and I wanted people to at least have some time to drive in the daylight to get home. So especially if the weather wasn't fantastic, it was fine, but and I was like, let's munch first because it's lunchtime. And the reason to leave at 3, like we weren't planning it where if we had planned it this way, we could have gone out next door or something and had dinner after, but we didn't plan it that way. So I was like thinking about, people may be a little peckish. We just had stuff to munch. I got everyone individual size apple ciders, and we had cheese and crackers and like veggies and dip, and somebody brought like candy canes. Like it was just munching, but it kept anyone from being hangry while we were looking at when you don't want to be like looking at someone and go like, oh my god, look, I think it's this, and someone's like, it is not that, because they're all angry and stuff. Because you can't be up in the galleries, be like, I think you need a Snickers, you know?
This
Like,
is very true.
so yeah, that's what we're doing. But tell me, Steph, do you like the idea of being able to see things from a study group that you aren't likely to attend very often?
I do.
Because like I'm assuming if we were to go somewhere really cool, you'd probably be
Hmm.
like, okay, well, I'm coming for that. But like,
If it's within my ability, yeah. But yeah,
mhm,
I think there is some value in being able to, just have these things out, whether it's, posting it on a private group or, just sharing these things because, just seeing a glimpse of something that's very different than what you've seen before, or, just has some kind of different, aspect to it, or something. Um,
mhm,
just being able to see a picture of that is better than
mhm.
nothing. And I think it furthers quilt study for many of us that are, in a lot of ways I feel like I'm trying to like get a speed degree. I'm like not going to school at night, I'm going to school all the time when it comes to quilts. So it's the more quilts I can look at, the more I feel comfortable, you know.
And people you can discuss them with.
Yes. And for example, when you're putting a quilt out and I'm saying, like, what date did they say? Well, I don't know, but it's maybe 1860. And I'm like, yes! I was just in my mind going, I think that's 1860.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of great like learning
Mm-hmm.
validation kind of because you're in your brain, you might be quizzing yourself on something,
Mm-hmm.
being like, do I know the name of that? Maybe someone else will say, yes, that's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great. But I will say, and I'll put this question kind of out to the universe. So please, like, whether you give an answer right now in the chat or you give an answer into the comments below or you talk to us somewhere else. Stephanie and I have mulled around for a while about maybe providing this kind of content somewhat privately, and that what that means is like a private stream like what we're doing right now, where but it's a private link so the public doesn't get to see it, especially for
Mm-hmm.
those people that don't want things posted publicly. We completely understand. um but if that was an offer, and let's say it had a very low nominal cost in it, because it does cost money to create these things and do these things, let's say it's $5 or something like that, would you attend something like that and offer up a quilt? You'd have to take, a number of pictures of your quilts in as good a lighting as you can, and then you'd have the ability to, chat in the chat about things, or I guess potential to come on the screen if you wanted to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So LJ would pay to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just makes me wonder, like, would people be interested in that in a little more private setting?
Mm-hmm.
Because I do understand that some people don't want something that's public facing, whether they don't want to talk public facing
Mm-hmm.
or, show their quilt public facing, but there is a way that we could be connecting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if it was a private video scenario, because some people to go just say jump to Zoom, there's some things about Zoom that I don't always love when everyone's in a Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
um so yeah, putting some feelers out there. We're talking about our schedule in 2025 and things that we want to do.
Yeah.
Now's the time to talk about things.
Yep. You've got lots of ideas, and it's good to get some validation or interest or ideas and, thoughts. We don't want to do stuff
Mhm.
that you guys don't want to see.
Yeah, because I mean, if that's the case, like Stephanie and I can just like
We can
video
just hang
chat
out.
ourselves, then we don't have to let anybody in.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know what you think, what kind of stuff you guys like, because we're going to do a little less book. We're still going to do books, just not as many. We did, what, 10 in 2024.
I think that's what our count was. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're looking at maybe only doing like a book a quarter or so, to have more time to do some other things, because we start to end up with a backlog
Yeah.
of stuff that we don't like. We still haven't looked at all the AQSG seminar content. So,
Mm-hmm.
and we mean to. It's just then cool things like this come up and I want to talk about them right away.
Yeah. That isn't it always that way? Yeah.
It is. Well, my dear, anything
Yeah.
to add before we head off? I have not eaten dinner yet.
Yeah, and you watched me eat 2 pieces of pizza while we had our the stream is starting soon.
Yeah.
um so yeah, same. Yeah, I don't really have anything else other than let's see. Yes, it can be paid for in a secure way, so payment methods or not. Yeah, I mean, we would do something through like a secure site. I mean, I have a shop. There's ways to do secure payment, through things. So yeah, we would definitely make sure that it was.
Or I mean, if some people wanted to, I would even accept the old-fashioned way and send me a check. Like if that makes you comfortable.
Yeah, Jill. Yeah, Jill is always willing to do that. I'm like, a check? What are you, my grandmother?
No, but we've got like everyone's comfortable with different things. So we have Stephanie has has an actual Shopify like site. I've PayPal accounts, Venmo accounts. We could probably accommodate almost any scenario someone would want.
Yeah,
to get funds.
Absolutely.
So, yep, nothing to worry about there.
So,
all righty.
Yeah, so yeah, the only thing I had was, hopefully y'all can make it to see me on Thursday, where we'll be digging a little bit further into some Morris Crawford.
Yeah, but if not, show up for the smut of Heritage of Cotton.
If you don't care about quilt and quilt adjacent things, you could at least show up for the erotica. But we hope to see you Saturday for Stitch and Glitch, because who knows what we're gonna do. Where's the checkbook?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to have some company for stitching on Saturday. It's really good for my soul.
Yeah, and I've got a few little holiday stitchies to take care of, so it'll be a good time to focus on that. So,
well, before Saturday, make sure you show up for Stephanie's smut on her Twitch. I'm sorry, I always say it wrong. Say the website.
Twitch.tv/Stephanie Cake.
There we go.
Yeah,
Saturday is 2 p.m. Yes,
Saturday
Eastern
2 p.m.
time.
Yep.
Right here. All right. I'm gonna go eat dinner.
I'm putting my link in there.
Oh, you put it in the chat? Yes.
I could spell it right. Yeah.
Spell it.
It's never good when you misspell your own links. So, all right.
True story. Or you put them under the wrong designation.
All right, guys.
All right. Good night, everybody.
See you soon. Bye.